with that being said, David,
we are in the culture corner with the libertarians being the redheaded stepchilds of the political realm.
So we talked about this during the 2020 election because, of course, every time either side wins. Here's the thing. The first thing that should tell you that your argument is bullshit is when the other side that is apparently diametrically opposed to you, you're not really, but that's what the left and the right thinks of each other, is when the other side has the exact same argument for the exact same reasons, one of you, and I would posit to you, both of you, are absolutely full of shit. That should your flag should just perk up when you're like, well, the other side makes the same argument. And that argument is when one of the big two loses, they blame the libertarians, especially if the amount of votes that the libertarian candidate got was within the margin of victory between the two sides. And I mean, that's just a stupid emotional argument, and I can prove it to you.
You know how I can prove it to you without even thinking about it? They assume that all of those votes would have gone to their party.
That's exactly right. Yep.
It's like, okay, if I'm a dyed-in-the-wool fucking Democrat, but I just don't agree with most of the shit that they're saying, right now, the lesser of two evils as to vote for my complete antithesis, I just vote libertarian and just kind of opt out of whatever the hell's going on. But if you're going to force my hand and you're literally forcing me out of the party, I'd only have one other option, and that'd be Republican or not vote. So there's still another option. So, and then not to mention the fact that everybody that ever says anything to you about the Libertarian Party before or after or during an election campaign is that you're throwing away your vote. You're throwing away your vote. Like, I'm sorry. Is my vote not my voice in this country? I'm sorry. If I don't agree with you on the left and I don't agree with you on the right, what else can I do other than vote for somebody down the middle? I mean, that just seems logical to me, Dane. But logic need not apply in election cycles. Logic need not apply in how my country is supposed to be run. It's supposed to be the all-holy left or the insidious, vindicated right. I don't know which way. And yeah, I'm aware. I did it stage right, stage left for you, but I'm aware that within myself, I went right when I said left and then left when I said right. If that makes any sense for you.
Right. So yes. So let me give you a concrete example for why this is utter bullshit. And again, the reason why it is just an emotional crybaby throwing a temper tantrum appeal from either side because they put forth a shitty candidate that couldn't capture our votes. Again, not our fault. The real world example is the Warnock versus Walker Senate race in Georgia, which, as you may know, is in a runoff because neither one of them got to 50%, which is you have to get to at least 50% for the winner to be declared. Now, the vote difference between those two was 30,000 votes, and the Libertarian candidate got 80,000. So the Libertarian candidate theoretically got the margin spread of victory between those two major party candidates. The reason why this line of logic is complete and utter bullshit is because it's founded on a bullshit premise. And that bullshit premise is, had there not been a Libertarian candidate, the Libertarians would have voted as a block in one way or the other, either all for Republicans or all for Democrats. And the reason why that's bullshit is for a couple of things. First of all, it completely forgets the fact that many Libertarian voters probably just won't vote at all. So if they're not voting at all, then they're not voting for your candidate to be able to make up that margin difference. The other thing is when you look at independent voters as a whole, so not just Libertarians, but let's just lump Libertarians in with independent voters, right? Independents are usually pretty evenly spread depending on the state, 50-50 one way or another. Maybe one side gets 55 and 45 and that's the difference in the election. But let's just use the Warnock, Walker, and then the Libertarian candidate as an example. So 80,000 votes, right? If it's 50-50, they cancel each other out, Warnock still wins, okay? Let's say it's 60-40, and let's say in instead of 40 and 40 for each side, Walker gets 50 and Warnock gets 30. Well, he still had a 30,000 vote lead, so he still wins by 10,000 votes. So that doesn't change the outcome. Let's step it up a little bit more and say Walker gets 3/4 of the Libertarian vote. Again, hardly any independents as a block vote 75% for one side or the other. And let's say he gets 60,000 votes. Well, that still means that 20,000 went to Warnock, which means that Walker now wins the election by 10,000 votes. So you're telling me that Walker needs to get 75% of the Libertarian votes? Never going to happen for any candidate. Is going to get 75% of one voting block, and that would have been the difference in the election. And you're going to put all of the weight of your candidate losing on those 80,000 votes not going his way, and that you were somehow entitled to 75% of them. Again, you have a shitty candidate, and speaking to Republicans in particular, you always talk about how libertarians are too extreme, or Ron Paul was a kook and all that kind of stuff. Well, you always dismiss us, and then you wonder why we don't vote for your candidate. Make it make sense. And for Democrats, the democracy is sacred side. Did I miss the point where every vote counts and vote your conscience and all of that kind of stuff? Or is it only democracy is sacred when you're, morally bankrupt, mentally deficient candidate wins? Maybe that's the only time democracy is sacred.
Well, Dane, we saved democracy with the red tide being avoided. They showed that democracy upheld.